Welcome, everyone, to this special edition of Inside the Cockpit. I'm your host, May K. Beeler, Chief Transportation Correspondent and Pilot here at Queen City News Plus. So today, with a heavy heart, I'm going to share with you the NTSB's early or preliminary report of the November 4th crash of the UPS Boeing MD-11 airplane in Louisville, Kentucky. Right off the top, I'm going to tell you fatigue, cracks, and overstressing. These seem to be the key words that the NTSB is looking at. Now, with this early report, it's important for you to know that they're not pointing fingers. They're not blaming anybody. They're not saying why anything happened. They're just talking about what happened, and the investigation is underway. So the information is subject to change. And I will tell you, as you can see here, the photos are very, very disturbing. You can see clearly there where the pylon that holds the engine on underneath the left wing has broken and flown off, and the engine has caught fire after departing the aircraft. So let's just talk a little bit about the background. It was November 4th, 2025, when a UPS flight 2976, as I said, an MD McDonnell Douglas 11F airplane, November 259er uniform Papa, was destroyed after impact to the ground shortly after takeoff from runway 17R. This is at Louisville, Muhammad Ali International Airport in Kentucky. 3 crew members on board and 11 people on the ground were fatally injured. And forgive me for reading this, folks, but I want to make sure that I get this right for you. 23 others on the ground were injured. So flight 2976, it was a domestic cargo flight. It was operating under Part 121. So it was a cargo flight going from Louisville to Honolulu. It was full of fuel. That was a long-haul flight, full of fuel. The NTSB did travel to Louisville the next day on November 5th to start documenting and gathering information. This is very important to know that what I'm going to tell you now is just preliminary, early report. It is subject to change. So it just goes as the early facts, and again, does not place blame regarding what happened. And UPS wants everyone to know that they continue to grieve for those lost in this tragic accident. You will see from the pictures and the fire that it appears that the pilots never had a chance, that this was unsurvivable and uncontrollable. So the preliminary investigation found that after the plane rotated or lifted off for takeoff off the runway, the left engine and the pylon that holds the engine on underneath the wing separated from the plane. The investigation determined, as you can see, a fire ignited on the left engine while it traversed above the fuselage and impacted the ground. So you can see there where the pylon flew off, and now the engine is leaving. We have a fire because everything is catching fire with all the fuel in that fuel tank. Despite the flames engulfing the left side of the plane, the report revealed the plane did clear the airport fencing, but it never got higher than 300 feet. The landing gear made contact with the UPS supply chain warehouse on the southern edge of the property. It hit a storage yard and additional buildings. A witness in the air traffic control tower told the NTSB the takeoff speed appeared normal for the MD-11, a large freight plane loaded with freight and fuel, but the airplane did not climb normally. Another witness recalled the plane stopped climbing, lost altitude, and rolled to the left. It's going to roll to the left because that left engine departed. You have no thrust on the left side. All that thrust on the right side, the plane is going to roll toward the dead engine with asymmetrical thrust and roll to the left. Oh, the airplane's right. And this is hard to talk about, folks, because it's just so tragic. The airplane's left and right engines were attached under the plane by the pylons. These are structures attached to each wing's underside. It provides a mounting point for the engines. After initial clearing of the fracture surfaces, examinations of the left pylon aft mount lug fractures found evidence of fatigue cracks in addition to areas of overstress failure, this according to investigators. So you might wonder, well, what about maintenance? This plane had been in maintenance the month before. Didn't they find evidence of this in maintenance? So addressing plane maintenance, the NTSB, they looked at visual inspections of the left aft mount. They were required by UPS's maintenance program every 72 months, and that was last done in October 2021. So it was done within the time frame, within 6 years. A lubrication maintenance occurred in October, just weeks before the crash. A special detailed inspection of the left pylon aft mount lugs would have been done at about 29,000 cycles, but this had not happened yet. The plane only had 21,000 cycles on it. It's important to note that this MD-11 is an older airplane, and people think, well, if it's more than 20, 30 years old, it's not flyable, but that's not true. Airplanes undergo inspections and maintenance checks all the time, and it's not determined if an airplane is airworthy by years. It's determined by cycles, how many times that gear comes up and down. So if you have an airplane that flies short hauls like a regional jet, where they fly a lot of trips a day, a lot of legs a day, that's more stress on the airplane with all those takeoffs and landings and the cycling of the gear. It's harder on that than an airplane that does long-range flights like this MD-11 that would be going to Hawaii, so they wouldn't be stopping every once in a while, different airports with the gear coming up and down that you do in like a regional jet. So even though this airplane was several decades old, that should not have a factor in the health of the airplane as long as the inspections are done properly. Now, the fact that they have found, according to the NTSB, the early report, that fatigue cracks and overstressing played a role in the pylon that holds the left engine on, breaks off, the engine departs the airplane, a horrible fire. There are also rumblings that the right engine perhaps had a compressor stall. That's not according to the NTSB. That's according to different reports. So 3 engines, the left engine, number 1 on the left wing, number 2 on the tail, number 3 on the right wing. The left wing, that pylon broke off, the engine departed, a horrible fire. The airplane barely climbed 30 feet and then rolled to the left, asymmetric thrust. No more engine, no more thrust. All that thrust on the right wing is going to turn the plane to the left. So this is the preliminary report. It's hard to talk about because with a fire like that and things breaking apart, the pilots really couldn't have done anything. There's nothing they could have done. The NTSB will be looking into maintenance records and what went wrong regarding the age of the maintenance with the airplane. Something to know, too, of course, the MD-11 was grounded after that to check for any problems. And there was, interestingly enough, an accident like this that happened that was similar back in 1979, and it is worth mentioning. If I can find those notes right now. Otherwise, I'll just tell you from memory, but I prefer to tell you my notes. A similar event, May 25, 1979, an American Airlines McDonnell Douglas DC-10, which is very similar to the MD-11, crashed in an open field. It was found that during the takeoff rotation, the left engine and pylon, just like on this MD-11, separated from the left wing and fell onto the runway. So, that's the only other similar accident to this. This is a preliminary report, again, not to place blame on anybody or say how it happened or why it happened, just what happened. It's still under investigation. You can see from the pictures, the pylon that held the engine on departed the aircraft, and the engine departed the aircraft. Horrible fire ensued. The airplane could barely climb, witnesses saying, according to the report, only about 30 feet high. It barely cleared the fence, hit buildings, rolled to the left, and, of course, everybody on board and folks on the ground were killed and injured. So that's the report, the preliminary report. We will be hearing more as time goes on. It's just been since November 4th, so a lot of information. These pictures tell the story. We will be learning more, and for the final report, that could take up to 2 years. So that's what we know so far. You're up to date. I'm May K. Bueller with Queen City News Inside the Cockpit. Thanks for joining us.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.